So let's say I come up with an app idea for my business, and let's make it very specific, agency business, B2B, and I'm figuring out a way to create a SaaS version of that. How do I test that type of idea, if it makes sense? Because it's an investment. I would have to invest, I don't know, $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 to develop even an MVP. So how do I assess whether that will work without having to show the app to my clients?
I think at the very least, figure out the cheapest way to get the maximum amount of learning. One cheap way could be that you could have someone design a rough sort of screen to show the concepts and post it online, either in your social circle or somewhere else, and get people's feedback on that, right? So they can see the screenshot, the design, which is going to cost very little money to make, and then you can explain what the concept is behind that. So they don't just have to imagine it, right? So if you get response from it and you get feedback from that, then you can kind of gauge and see if there's a product market fit right there. That's number one. So in general, I would always advise on taking steps that are the cheapest to get the maximum learning. So posting the design would be one way to do it. And then once you go past that phase, the next phase would be to create a wireframe using tools like Envision, and basically make them interactable. So meaning that you can still have the design and you have more screens now, maybe a few more screens, and people can tap on it to, they can only tap on certain things. Obviously not everything is, but they would go to another screen that is sort of static. It's not like, live, but at least you can see how you can observe how they're using the app. They can also get a feel for it and also give you feedback as well. So that would be the next step in the prototyping phase. And once you go through those two phases and you sort of can gauge the product market fit and also the flow on the app itself, then you can take it to the third step. So that would be one, but it really depends on, at the end of the day, depends on what you're trying to solve. Some things you might not even need design, you might not even need a screenshot or a prototype at all. You might just be able to rely on conventional methods. Say you can rely on text message, whatever you have on your phone. If you can rely on that to automate certain things, to do some of the things that you want to achieve, you can do that too. So it's not necessary to have the visual if you think that the idea is simple enough to just execute it directly with the existing mechanisms.
But if you want to go a little deeper to see if people will actually use it and to refine perhaps the flow or the functionality, you can start with some screenshots. It could be a wireframe. I've used Balsamiq before. Do you have a favorite wireframing software?
Yeah, so Balsamiq is one good wireframe software. There's a lot of options out there, but Balsamiq would be one option to do the wireframing. Envision is also another good tool for building a visual prototype. And again, before even relying on those things, ask yourself, can I use any existing sort of mechanism on my phone to test out my idea? I'll give an example. If I wanted to do a fitness app, and the fitness app is about getting a group of people to exercise together towards a certain goal. So to basically motivate them to, with that, you don't really need to have a design on app. Eventually you want to, but initially you can say, hey, let's just do the whole thing in Facebook Messenger, in text, SMS, so you can get everybody in one channel and then start having them, report how many times they've done, the exercises like through the traditional channel. That would be the cheapest way to go, instead of spending time and money on designing the screen.
And I've seen people use Google Docs, Google Sheets. If it's a data-oriented platform, let's have people crowdsource or put data, and then we can make it pretty and deliver in another way.
Exactly. Yeah. If the feature is useful enough, if the core functionality is useful, you can test it without having to make it pretty. Right. The pretty part can come in later. But if the core, the foundation is not stable, it doesn't matter what you do on the outside. The thing is going to collapse later.
And what about the fake it till you make it? So you can say, that was the approach for our workbook, etc., where you create a landing page, you sell something, but at the end, and you have them actually, I don't know if you process payment or whatever, but at the end you say, oh, we're just developing it now, or we ran out of stock or whatever. Would you recommend that in this environment, and especially for B2B companies that have clients versus customers?
You're talking about can you explain more about it? Is it more trying to get them to pay?
Sell it, because many times people will give you feedback, but you can't tell if they're going to buy something. So let's say you're selling a platform for $1,000 a year that will do XYZ functionality. It's great to ask somebody, would you buy this? What do you think? And they will say, oh, yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'll pay for it. Or you can create a landing page and say, here's what we can do. Sign up for a demo. That would be one step. Then another step. And after the demo, you say, actually, we haven't developed it. We appreciate the interest and we'll put you on our wait list.
So that's one way to do it. But another way would be to, again, get some of the screens design done. That can be done fairly cheaply, right? The designs, like some of the screen designs, all sort of straighten out, and then pitch those to potential customers and ask them if they would pre-order it. Right? It's almost like a Kickstarter thing, right? Pre-order meaning I'm still building it. You can see the screens, you can see the concepts. But if you were to pre-order now, you get a much better deal. For example, maybe you would pay, 1/5 the cost when I launch it in a few months, and then you can put in some things to de-risk it. If I don't launch it within a certain time frame, you get your money back, right? So then, if the thing is solving a real pain point, there's no reason why someone would not want to pay when they can save a pretty substantial amount right off the bat. But then you also get to see how people are willing to open their wallet for this idea. That means they're solving a real pain point, rather than this just them saying, yes, I will, and then give you the email, because they could still change their mind later, right? So a small amount coming from their wallet is still a good endorsement in the fact that you're solving a problem for them.
Okay, yeah, that's a great idea. So my takeaway from this conversation is to test your, even as an MVP, you don't even need to develop an MVP. Try to test it in manual ways, Google Docs, spreadsheets, on your phone with existing functionality, or create some screenshots and ask people to prepay for you to develop, giving them a guarantee that if you don't develop, you give them the money back. And that way you know exactly the flow and if they would buy.
Yeah, exactly. Now, it doesn't work for all ideas. Some ideas are just way too far ahead. People can't even imagine they use it, right? If you were to come around and say prepay for iPhone, they have not seen iPhone. They don't even know how they're going to use iPhone. They would just say, no, I just want a faster phone, right? So some things are not going to be suitable for this model. But some things that is more of an evolution rather than a revolution type product, then and it's just also something that is not being served at all in the industry, especially a lot of the niche industry, like vertical industry, that are not being served at all. They can imagine what it would be like very easily with if you would put things together, but it's just not there. Then those things are really suitable for this model.